Help me, I think I'm turning into a werewolf. Yeah, a little Joni Mitchell for you. I know, huh? I want to surprise you. I want to horror because that's what we're doing. We're doing the 31 days of Halloween. That's right. We are doing a different horror movie for the 31 days of October leading up to Halloween. Today is October the 25th, and tonight's movie is An American Werewolf in London. This is a sick movie. I mean that nicely. It came out in 1981. I remember seeing it a lot. Especially my best friend Brian had a Laserdisc player in his house, and American Werewolf in London was one of the selections that we had available to us on that particular medium. And we watched that movie a lot. And so I've grown up with this grotesque, with these practical effects, with this movie, and that it's actually underneath it all it's a monster movie, and it's a comedy, because this was written and directed by John Landis. John Landis is known for his comedies, so this was a bit different than his usual fare that came before and after. So it's not to be taken very seriously, yet it's chock full of everything. It's chock full of dark humor, and wrapped up in a really technically sound horror movie that it was the kind that he grew up with, like, the Mummy, the Werewolf, the Dracula, Frankenstein, the Hammer movies. All these directors of the 80s grew up in the 50s and 60s with those movies. And of course it had an impact on them. Especially John Landis, who wrote and directed this very movie. And he did National Lampoon's Animal House, The Blues Brothers, Trading Places, The Three Amigos, Coming to America, Beverly Hills Cop 3. Yeah, he has done lots and lots of funny movies. Spies Like Us. Clue. I love Clue. We watch Clue a lot with my friends. Yeah, he nothing very much lately, but yeah, he started with Kentucky Fried Movie in 1977, got Animal House, and the Blues Brothers, and just like that was after those three movies. This was, as well, a comedy, and it's in there, and it's a very dark humor, and it's not for the squeamish, and there's a lot to unpack in this movie, especially about about lunacy, okay, and I mean that literally, coming from those who are affected by the moon. Luna is the Latin root of lunatic or lunacy, and but how our bodies change with the phases of the moon, and what we do. Is there a beast inside of us, or is it just a bit more simple than that? Is it just you got bit by a werewolf because you were out in the moors after dark and they told you not to? And this is just and it's sexy and it's grotesque, and it's an interesting piece. I really am. I'm proud to have watched this again, and I really enjoy it. And there's just so much going on, especially in the third act. It's like it's a fever pitch, and then all the lights and just like it's such an opposite to Act One, where we started at the quiet moors. You know what I mean? So it's like that's what you have: setup, payoff, juxtaposition. You know what I mean? It's a movie, and but always remember at all times that this is a comedy, and made by a master or a developing master of the genre as the popular comedic movie, and people did not know how to respond to this movie, but it is a cult classic. It has a sequel. I don't think I've never seen. It's called The American Werewolf in Paris. So, but I didn't check that one out. And but yeah, I literally grew up this scary movie. I know, yeah. I mean, kids of my generation, we grew up with rated R and scary, scary movies, horrible movies. You know, we were probably way too young to be watching. You know, so it's just, you know, should we have been like? It's this eternal thing. Like, you know, when is like, you know, like we ask our friends now, like they all have, you know, kids who are growing up. When is it time for their first Stephen King book? Like we remember we read Stephen King when we were like, what, 7, 8, 9 years old? Is that appropriate? Heck no. But I mean, but it's just like, yeah, that's just what was on the shelf. That was just what was in your, you know, there were plenty of books around my house. A lot of them were Stephen King books. And there were a lot of movies we watched. We watched horror movies. And so, yeah, what about sharing horror movies with kids? What about kids watching horror movies? I would watch the Friday the 13th movies on late night UHF television, WSBK TV, Channel 38 Boston had the Movie Loft, and they often showed Friday the 13th parts 1 and 2 a lot. I remember growing up watching these movies. We're not doing the Friday the 13th movies this year, but I am going to invest in the Shout Factory box set because I find them all very endearing, and they all possess a certain part of my life with nostalgia. So I remember being very excited for part 3 and 3D coming out, and that was the first one with the hockey mask, and I had the novelization about that, and I was 11 and I was going to summer camp, and so I brought the book with me, and I was a weird kid and I liked horror movies. You know what I mean? It just I was a goofy kid. I loved seeing these, you know, splatter movies. Now I've grown up, like, you know, cooled off. I'm really like, you know, cooled off on that stuff. But when it comes to nostalgic stuff like this, you know what I mean? I could still watch this. And yeah, I've never watched a Blumhouse movie, and I will not watch the Purge movies. No, that's not my cup of tea. That's not my sense of escapism. But something like this, it's a little dopey, it's charming, and it's funny. It's bitterly funny, especially with talking to dead people. That is the chorus of you know, the tragic chorus. It's just, yeah, it is. There's a lot going on in this movie. I appreciate this, and I'm so happy that I got an excuse to watch this during the Halloween season. And in the spirit of Halloween, I'm doing the 31 Nights of Halloween. I'm watching 31 horror movies in October leading up to Halloween night, where I'm watching one of my all-time favorite horror movies. And yeah, it's an excuse to have a conversation with you. You are the most important part of this show, and this conversation we're having here now. What do you think of American Werewolf in London? Keep leaving those comments. Let me know what you think. Make suggestions for next year. I'll start a notepad. And, you know, thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, this movie has a big place in my mind. We watched it a lot. And yeah, Brian had a stack of Laserdiscs, like, you know, Escape from New York. I think he had Scarface, but most definitely had American Werewolf in London. And yeah, this is a treat. It really is. It's like I said, it's not for the squeamish, not for everyone. It runs 97 minutes, so it's got a decent runtime, and I'm happy to suggest it to you if you'll take one. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. Stay off the moors after midnight. And we'll see you again. Cheers. Happy Halloween. Bye-bye.